everyone, and welcome back. Okay, so let me start over. We were supposed to have a video on tracking, and I promise you're getting that video. But both of us have had kind of a hellish week and previous week and weekend. And so we both got on here and went, I don't want to. So we're going to do that this weekend.
Talk about something.
Yes, but we can't waste the time. So for those of you who don't know, this is Dani Conway. This is her third appearance, and she is the fun med nut that Donna and I talked about. This is the functional medicine nutritionist or functional medicine woman, as Donna likes to call you. This is Dani. This is the one we talk about a lot. She's in My Mighty Network. She is one of the coaches. She and I are the two coaches that are in there. She's on Instagram at carnivore.keto.fitness, and she has a website, nutritionthenaturalway.com. She loathes YouTube, which is why she comes onto my channel, because she and YouTube have this love-hate thing the same way that me and Instagram have this love-hate thing.
I have a channel, but I always warn people, like, there's a lot of dust on it. So there's a few recent videos, but the more recent stuff is definitely on Instagram for sure.
Just stay over there. And of course, yes, your Facebook group, and then of course your website. But you know, so we were sitting here kind of brainstorming with what few brain cells we have left at this moment. And we decided we're going to do a really quick video on this one thing, honestly. No, it's probably more than one thing.
Well, things that inhibit results.
Yes. Yeah.
There could be a few of them.
There could definitely be a few of them, but is this thing inhibiting your results? So we're going to get to that.
Yeah. And I was just going to say those results could be weight loss, or it could be other things contributing to the end, the goal of, long-term health and longevity and that kind of thing. So results not limited to just one thing.
With every start, we are born again. Open your heart.
So maybe you guys have noticed that if you're, trying different things for whether it's weight loss or, gaining long-term health, which really they're one and the same, because weight loss happens as a byproduct of the body being healthy and in balance. In order to get there, we tend to do and try a lot of things. And we also tend to get, I don't want to say sucked into, because there's so much great information out there, but we also get into a position of maybe following too many channels or listening to too many people, whether they're coaches or influencers, and then the water gets a little muddy, the results stall, and you're kind of at a point where you're not really sure where to go. So that might be familiar for some of you. I know I have heard this a lot. Amy, maybe you can speak to, hearing about this kind of thing.
Honestly, I like to consider it mixing protocols.
Yeah, that's definitely a good way to put it.
Because I've got one person over here that's saying, if you do it this way, you're going to get these results. And I've got another person over here on this side saying, no, don't do it that way. That way doesn't work. Do it this way. I mean, literally everywhere you look, everybody in this space has their own opinion on what's going to work. Some of them line up, and honestly, a lot of them really don't line up. So what should people do? How do they know who they should be listening to? Which one of the big names? Does it depend on how many followers they have? Are those people the ones that really know what they're talking about, or maybe not?
Yeah. And I think that, just as a natural progression of social media, it is a natural thing to maybe get attracted to somebody who might have more followers than the next person. But that doesn't mean the person with less followers is a bad coach, for example, or whatever the case is. So you really want to look at, one thing I can suggest is, don't worry about the follower count. That is not really something to take into consideration when you're looking at the validity of their information. And really look at the message and, what is happening with that message, and what are the things that you've tried personally, and what are the things that you've, struggled with personally. And when Amy was talking about like this area, this or that kind of thing, when you're following, what happens is like one area is black, one is white. And what happens when you sort of follow all of the things is the gray area. And then that's where you end up just getting wishy-washy and lost. And then you don't get black or white, you just get gray and no results, of course.
Yeah, absolutely no results at all. And I actually became guilty of that not long ago when I was doing the PSMF stuff, which I know a lot of people don't agree with. I was experimenting with it and having fun with it. So I was doing PSMF on a few days. And then on all those off days, you're supposed to eat, regular fat. Well, I wasn't paying attention to how much I was eating. I was trying to completely overstuff myself. And go up to, well, I'm under eating, so I really need to cram it all in. It was like, okay, you totally undid what you tried to do, right? Because I wasn't tracking anything. And then I was upwards of like 3,000 calories a day. I never eat that much. So of course I undid everything that I did because I was listening to two different camps of thought and smashed the two of them together. It's like Play-Doh. Have you ever, taken two colors of Play-Doh and you mash them together?
The reality is there's people out there that have had success with all of the things that are being talked about and suggested. And like, if we take this example of PSMF, yes, absolutely. A lot of people have had, tons of results with that. For me personally, I didn't. I feel terrible if I eat too much protein in the absence of fat. And I think, I also find a lot of clients find me who have had that same experience. I've had a lot of struggles, and I tend to attract the clients that might have had those same struggles, so I can help them kind of get past that. So I just want to be clear. We're not saying that anything is bad necessarily. It's more about on an individual basis. And so another thing that comes into play is too many things at one time. You try this one day and this the next day, and then all of a sudden you're like, 2 weeks has gone by. You've tried so many things. And the reality is that consistency is key. So maybe one of those things would work if it was experimented with for, I tell people if they're going to change things up, 3 to 4 weeks minimum, just depending on whatever the changes are, it just takes that time for the body. I don't want to use the word adapt because the body can adapt in different ways, positively or negatively. But I think that we need to give the body a chance to be able to respond, physiologically to whatever stimulus we're trying to achieve to get results.
Yeah. And that's, I think, one of the biggest problems in this space. We all want results faster than they're really going to take. We don't want to give it 3 to 4 weeks to see how well.
Just to try, right?
Exactly. Just to try. No. Just to try is like 24 hours. I can commit to 24 hours, but not a month.
Right.
And I think that's 100% the problem. A lot of the time is that we don't give it a long enough time. Although I have to say, I got to update everyone with my little carb experiment.
Yes.
Y'all, you could not pay me to eat those carbs for 3 to 4 weeks. And I've had several people tell me, well, you didn't give it long enough time. You're right. I did not give it a long enough time, and I will not, because my mental state declined so rapidly. It was not worth it. Not even a little bit.
Here's a caveat though, because this is a perfect example of when you have a negative response, is not to keep doing it just because somebody said so.
Exactly. And that's, you have to advocate for yourself, because everyone's telling me, oh no, it's amazing. You just got to stick through it. There's an adaptation period for going back on carbs, just like there's an adaptation period for going on fat and things like that. I immediately, when I went keto and then carnivore, my mental state immediately began to get better. I had fatigue. I was tired. I had keto flu. I didn't know about electrolytes. The carb withdrawal was a real thing. I mean, I was like seriously craving those carbs, but my mental state was getting better. When I added in the fruit and the honey, my mental state immediately got worse. And I would go to bed crying. I would wake up crying. I would snap at the tiniest little things. I couldn't make decisions. And I found myself going to sit in front of a camera to make a video. And when I was editing afterwards, I had to cut out so many of what if I could not think straight at all. And it was starting to really frustrate me. And I finally told everyone in the group, I'm going to shave my head before I lose my mind. Like the whole reason I'm doing this is because, it's supposed to help your hair. Yeah, I'm done. I will shave my head before I lose my mind, because it was literally that bad. One day I was sitting here, my room door is like right there. I'm sitting here and Richard walks out of the bedroom and he said something, he just looked at me and made a comment, and I just started bawling. He was trying to be funny, and I just lost it. That is not okay in any form or fashion. So for me, it ended immediately. I stopped the carbs immediately, and I actually went back to, please forgive me, bulletproof coffee, which y'all know I am not a fan of bulletproof coffee. I don't like it when you drink your calories. I don't like it, especially if you drink them without eating something to activate the proper hormones. But actually 3 people made a comment about the MCT oil or the butter in their coffee is helping their brain cognition. And I went, oh, I need a boost right now. So I went back to bulletproof coffee, and the improvement has been significant.
So I have a few comments. So first of all, that's what happens to me when I eat sugar. Everything you described, the depression, the crying for no apparent reason, just to name a couple of things. And, I think we get stuck in like, this is bad and that's bad or whatever. So first I want to say you had the experience with adding carbs back in. And then there are some people that might have an experience when they go to the other side of like carnivore, super strict carnivore, where they might push through that and think, oh, I'm just going to get there. I'm just going to get there. And they, after a while, they don't get there. And like, then they feel bad and wrong for maybe kind of just being a more relaxed version of carnivore, so to speak. And I think it can happen both ways. So you always need to listen to your body. And then, of course, that's kind of like our message, but it just can come in so many different, the body can speak so many different languages. Sometimes we don't always understand. And I think, with fatty coffee, bulletproof coffee, whatever term you want to use, I don't necessarily have a problem with it for various reasons. I think it can be really helpful. If someone wants to choose to drink their calories, be my guest, drink your calories. If you're overeating and drinking your calories, that becomes a problem. So everything now has to come in context. Now, where I see people faltering with a fatty coffee approach is trying to say that they're still fasting. If you're drinking fatty coffee, you're not still fasting. Some people, I think, do better. If you're going to have a fatty coffee, it's going to break your fast anyways. I think there should be a protein source with it. That's another factor. So whether they're adding beef protein, collagen, something like that, or having a piece of a steak with their coffee, either way. So I think that there are ways to make things like that work and be okay. So for me, my perspective, just to kind of chime in, bulletproof coffee is not great for everyone. I do think there's a time and place and ways to use it that are helpful versus hindering as far as goals go. But, definitely in this case, something that you had a thought of something and it was so like, oh my gosh, I need that right now, go with it.
Yeah. And with me, the dangers of the bulletproof coffee is I will very easily drink 3 of those and not eat. Because I feel full, because I've had all that fat and I'm not getting any protein with it. Or if I do, it's because I added a little bit of collagen powder. I am going to order your good collagen eventually, because I saw your she just did an Instagram story or post on the difference in collagen. And yes, there is a difference in collagen, quite a bit of a difference.
We'll have to cover that another day.
We will. So I'm going to order the good stuff, but I would very easily just do that.
Adding the protein is really key, because when you just said feeling full and not eating for however period of time, I think it's important to treat it as a meal. So I would never have somebody have a fat only meal. There might be a certain scenarios depending on hormone things going on, but for the most part, I just want to qualify that and say I would never have someone eat a meal of pure butter or pure MCT oil. So creating a little bit more balance with the protein and the fat and 1 cup of coffee, not 3 or 4. That should create more of a balance and not create a situation of under eating where you don't eat for the rest of the day because you had this bulletproof coffee.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, it tastes so good and it's just so much easier, especially when you're busy. So
Right.
I'm just going to drink. And then after my 3rd or 4th one, I would have been like, oh no, I'm just not hungry. It's 8:00 at night. I mean, come on. They
Right.
were addicting to me in the beginning. Now I can have 1 or 2 if I'm driving to go, drop off children 14 hours alone in the car because
Yeah.
my husband is sick. I had 2 that day. But I also took other things and I ate with it. But yes, so using them as a tool and not a crutch is very important.
Yeah, and I think I'll kind of add on to that because I get, the very common question I get all the time is coffee bad? So it depends. Oftentimes, if those of you watching have seen my videos and asked me questions, you know that my answer a lot is it depends. It's often not yes or no. And if you're new, hi, and my answer is a lot is
It depends.
versus yes or no. So that being said, is coffee bad? It depends. Coffee can be bad or a poor choice. I don't like bad or good, but a poor choice for someone who is high anxiety, experiencing depression, can't sleep, very stressed out, because excessive coffee will exacerbate all of those symptoms. If somebody is not experiencing all of that, sleeping at night, then that's where caffeine, a little bit of caffeine here and there, or a cup of coffee, not multiple a day, can be okay. And look, a joy in life, right? Who wants to? I've given up coffee for long periods of time. I get it. What do I choose to do now? I do an organic cold brew black coffee. I drink a small amount and I don't, I love it. And I don't feel deprived of this experience, having this experience every day of enjoying the coffee.
Yeah. We're going to get back to it. Finding what works best for you and following people who line up with your current views. Your views may change because you may try something and find that it doesn't work for you. And then it is time for you to move on and find someone else that may be trying to teach a different method of doing something. It's not to say that the last person you were following was wrong. It's that you did not get those results that way. And that does not mean that there's anything wrong with you either. It's not a failure on your part because, oh, well, you didn't do it well enough and you didn't do it right.
Right.
Sometimes it doesn't matter. I was 7 months all in carnivore with organ meats, no dairy, no spices, no coffee, no nothing. And it didn't work for me. And it's not that I didn't try it long enough. It was more than, the few days. It was more than the few weeks. For some people, it just doesn't work. For other people, it is their golden ticket and it is exactly what they needed to completely get to their final goal. For some people, it's enough.
Mm-hmm.
For other people, it's not. And then it's time to tweak a little bit and you got to find someone else to follow and line up with them. And I think a lot of the problem is we're looking at too many people all at once and we're trying to implement everything all at once.
Right.
So maybe narrow your field of view.
Narrow
one
your
or two.
Yeah.
Yes. Pick 1 or 2, maybe even 3 people who have similar views and listen to them and try to shut out a lot of the other noise. And it's not a bad thing to learn because you may need it in the future, but don't try to implement everything all at once because your results are going to be so muddied and gray that you're not going to know what worked.
I think also it can be valuable to have a plan, right? So let's say you want to continue to follow all the people, is just not implementing all the things at the same time in a short period of time. So, maybe have a plan. You're going to try something for 4 to 6 weeks. And if that doesn't work, you're going to shift it. And, if that doesn't work, shift again. And at what point are you going to try to get help versus just continue on your own? I just shared a reel earlier today, and, carnivore and keto, they're free with the exception of buying food, of course, right? That's the reality. And tons of people have had amazing results just by going carnivore or keto. Now, that being said, there are also people that need additional help to really rebalance root cause and underlying factors going on from hormones and digestion and things like that. And then there's also people that want to upgrade and figure out how they can get to that next level if they're not having symptoms. There's nothing wrong with, working with someone or hiring a coach or joining a community or whatever, if they want to get to that next level, whatever that next level is. I am an equestrian athlete myself. I work with a lot of equestrian athletes, as well as, women over 40 are most of my clientele. Your goals can be individual and the approach has to be individual. So that's where I just sort of say, have a plan. If you have done your plan and you're still at your wit's end, figure out going that next level, whatever that next level is.
Yeah, that's what I love our group. I've kind of nicknamed it the island of misfit toys because there's so many different people in there. We've got, higher carb all the way over to super strict carnivore. And we've got the high fat, we've got the low fat, we've got some people that have some pretty severe metabolic problems. We've got some people that have beyond metabolic problems. And we've got some that just want to take it to the next level. We have this whole conglomeration of people, and I don't know that there's ever going to be one answer that's actually going to fit for everybody.
But I think what happens sometimes is people can still take, a question gets asked and we answer it. People can still take that and adapt that to what worked for what their scenario is. And I think that's an important part of, just Q&A in general, because I do a lot of Q&A in my stories, of course. And so, I'll answer one question and then I get, responses back of different things with different people that are struggling. And so it's a great sort of mix, if you will, of information and the way people can adapt that for themselves.
Yeah. That's one thing that I have noticed in the group. No one will be, they won't have any questions. No one wants to share. And then one person will say one thing. And then, we'll give a response. And then everyone's like, wait, what about this? What about that? And then it opens up the floodgates and everyone learns. And for everybody, generally it's, we'll tweak it this way a little bit, or it could be a little bit different for you because so the learning is definitely still there. Like I said, don't stop listening to everybody, but stop implementing everyone's suggestions all at the same time.
Yeah, for sure.
And pick a couple to focus on and learn to be a little bit more patient. Give it 4 to 6 weeks for one change to take place, unless you have a nasty result like I did with it was natural. And yes, my honey was local Wisconsin honey, guaranteed to be fresh from the flowers. Absolutely no corn syrup were fed to these bees. These bees are spoiled. We know exactly where it came from. It didn't matter. And the fruit was all organic. And it didn't matter. It legit didn't matter. My brain did not care. And I felt horrible. It was not worth continuing for a month to 6 weeks. So listen to your body. If anyone wants to shave their head with me, we could do that together too. Just saying. Yeah, and he's like, please don't shave your head. She's going to fix me yet one of these days. I promise she really will. But anyways, we could probably wrap it up because we just wanted to talk about that. Pick a focus, stick with it, give it time to actually make a difference.
Yeah.
And see what happens and find your people. Finding your people, I think, is very important. The people you line up with. And if you have to change later, change later. That's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with that. So one final thought on the weight loss side of things is that a lot of people get stuck thinking that if they haven't lost weight or had a change in a week or two, that their weight loss is stalled. And I just want to offer is that keep going. Weight loss stalls are, 8 weeks, 10 weeks or longer. I know that's not, the ideal information you want to hear, but just know that it is true. And things that you can start looking at are everything from hydration, electrolytes, ratios of protein and fat, fat to protein, exercise and movement, sleep, quality of sleep. I mean, sleep is more important to weight loss sometimes than diet. So anyways, those are just some of the few things off the top of my head, but any questions, definitely let me know.
Yeah. Reach out to us. Let us know. And we'll answer them to the best of our ability. Stick them down below and I'll tag Dani so that she knows it's time to answer something.
Yes. Or DM me on Instagram.
That's probably just the easier way to do it, honestly. There's so many things. Oh my gosh. Hush. Shit it. I don't even know how you want to start this. Go away. Thank you. How should we start this?
This one might take a little more editing than you're used to. So why don't you start? So let me. A lot of people think on the weight loss side of things. So a lot of 3 times a charm.
Yeah, I think that's it. I can't think of anything else. My brain is fuzzy.